Hi everyone, good evening. I hope everybody is doing fine. We are about to end this fantastic year, and definitely I believe you guys have had a great time. So today we'll be discussing around the topic, and we'll be joined by Sandeep Bhai, Amit ji, Rajesh ji, and Ameya. So definitely we'll be discussing the opportunities and risk in the market. And if there would be any questions on part of the audiences, definitely our comments or chat box are open. Definitely we would love to take your questions, but please ensure those should not be any buy, sell or such kind of questions which make us uneasy, right? So just to confirm, anybody can maybe with the help of smileys or comments can confirm whether we are audible properly. Sandeep bhai, just to check, are we good on the voice thing?
Yes, all clear. Just a quick thing, I checked with Rajesh ji. He is in a corporate event, so we can't
Okay, okay, okay.
join
No,
this. But
no
you may check
issues.
with, I think Amit ji is also here. And
Yeah,
you said
Amit ji, I'm
Ameya
just
is
saying.
also planning to join.
Yeah,
So let me.
Ameya is also joining.
And I reached out to Naveen Mathani and Nikhil Lungta also, or maybe a few others. Over to you, Prince.
Perfect. Yeah, Naveen, also I've sent the request to Naveen bhai and also sending to Nikhil sir. So as I mean, everybody, I just said that this year is about to end tomorrow, and definitely, I believe this year has been generous to all the market participants. Everybody has their ups and downs, and lots of learning. And I think we, with this democratic medium, try to help in the very little way we can. And definitely, it's a conducive platform wherein we also learn and learn a lot from our lovely audiences. So, definitely, the topic of discussion for today would be the upcoming year, wherein we would be discussing opportunities. And it is always good, in addition to the opportunities, we are cognizant of the fact that what could be the potential risk or fault lines which should be discussed, because it's always good to have uh, an opinion or view on both the sides, so that we can fairly understand the risk reward, or at least the landscape, how we should be playing going forward. So just to set the context, I have briefed the audience, Sandeep bhai and Amit ji. So as and when you are comfortable, we can set it and get it going on the conversation. So what do you think, and the next year looks like? Obviously, 12 months is a big time to anticipate anything, but as far as we are good with our analysis and choice of uh, sectors or maybe individual companies, picking individual companies, we should be good. But apart from that, as you guys always stress upon, risk are important in the market. Over to you, Sandeep bhai.
Hey, thanks, Prince. So let's start with the fault lines first, and then opportunities. We keep on discussing all the time, right? So fault lines, by definitions, are very deep lines, which बहुत simple terms में बोलें तो geography में lines which often create even earthquakes. So it's a rhetoric also in a sense that very deep structural issues which can fundamentally alter things. सो वैसी फॉल्ट लाइंस अल से कि जो 3-4 महीने पहले जो कुछ चीजें मुझे रिस्की लगती थी, या अर्लियर इन द ईयर एवरीवन वाज लिटिल वरीड अबाउट वन की पॉलिटिकल कंटिन्यूटी नहीं होगी। फिर जब रिजल्ट आया तो लोगों को ये भी रहा कि वीकर मैंडेट है, जिसका इम्पैक्ट हमें दिखा भी क्वार्टर 2 के रिजल्ट्स में। गवर्नमेंट श्योरली लुक्स लेस रिजॉल्व्ड देन इट वाज इन लास्ट टर्म। So वो सारी fault lines थी. Then there was this big US elections event, which could have been to a different mandate, which technically would have been less India friendly. So a lot of those fault lines actually got mitigated to a large extent. Broader fault line geopolitics की बहुत major है. Many of you would have followed what is happening in last 2 days in Twitter, in US. So because of social media, I think the world has become very extremely polarized. People have lost any sense of how to even do discussions, especially on social media. I mean, the anonymity of social media gives uh, basically make people devils, right? So that you can see in US, that you can see in YouTube, India, anywhere on Twitter, anywhere. So those things are very tough to guess. But broadly, I think we all should be more constructive about Indian equities right now, heading into 2025, than let's say we were 6 months back. So let's say June, July, Nifty was hitting July, August 25, 26,000, way ahead of its earning. Main board guys, they started talking about, getting cash calls extremely uncomfortable, etc. And then earnings started disappointing. So their tone didn't change, but the fact remains like we are down 7, 8%, 10%. On a lot of hot themes, we are down 20, 30% on stock specific from the top. So naturally, markets are much more mid-range than it was 6 months back. That's one. Second, the big news, the big thing which happened was obviously the excessive rains. Rains obviously happens every year, but this year it was tad unusual, erratic also. And second thing was the capex. So rains is obviously anybody's guess what will happen next year, but capex seems resolving now. Budgets have started moving here and there. So the next positive trigger, I hope BJP doesn't kind of shoot on our own feet, and most likely they won't. I mean, that's the only hunch or guess I can make. By budget, a lot of headlines should start moving, and the one thing which happens is by January, etc., people will stop talking about FY25. They will essentially talk about FY26. Already you would be seeing new IPOs. People are not talking so much about FY25 valuation, because more or less people who track companies closely, they more or less understand where the numbers are likely to be. So 20% companies can either surprise on extreme positive or negative, but broadly everyone understands what quarter 4 will be for their set of portfolio companies. So the game is to figure out what will happen in FY26. So that chatter will also start going in quarter 4. So overall, fairly constructive. I'll not say positive from here. Levels are Nifty levels are where probably it should worst case remain range bound. There shouldn't be any decisive cuts from here. So that's all from my side, Prince. But over to Amit ji. Or any other speaker. I think Ganesh is also here if he wants
Thank
to
you,
join.
thank you, Sandeep ji. Thank you,
Yeah.
friends. May I or shall I?
हाँ प्लीज सर कंटिन्यू मीनवाइल I'll check with Dinesh. Yeah.
तो जैसा संदीप जी ने कहा उसी कंटिन्यूटी में बोलूंगा मैं कि पिछले 3 साल जो है काफ़ी अच्छे रिटर्न्स बनाए हैं इन्वेस्टर ने। तो मैं फुल टाइम पे आऊँगा पहले, जैसा संदीप जी ने बोला कि ये साल जो है एक मॉडरेट रिटर्न का साल रहेगा एंड दिस ईयर विल बी स्टॉक पिकर्स मार्केट। मतलब सारे जेनरिक में बोला हूँ तो मतलब लास्ट 3 साल में ऑलमोस्ट एवरी स्टॉक चाहे उसमें पोटेंशियल है कि नहीं है, रिटर्न बना है, कम बना है, ज़्यादा बना है, कोई अलग बात हो सकता है, बट लार्जली रिटर्न बने हैं। इस साल क्या होगा जो मुझे लगता है, आई मे बी रॉन्ग, आई एम हैप्पी टू रॉन्ग, इस साल मॉडरेट रिटर्न बनेंगे और स्टॉक पिकर्स का मार्केट रहेगा ये। तो जहाँ अर्निंग्स रहेगा, जहाँ टेलविंड्स है, जहाँ जहाँ कुछ मतलब सर्टेन चीज़ें वर्क करेगी, चाहे पॉलिसी हो चाहे कुछ भी हो, तो वही स्टॉक्स और वही कंपनीज आउट परफॉर्म करेगी। एंड हमें मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी बहुत देखना चाहिए इस साल में, क्योंकि अगर हमने मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी नहीं देखा ना इस साल, तो काफ़ी डिस्ट्रक्शन भी हो सकता है। और कई बार क्या होता है, मतलब इस पर आप देखेंगे काफ़ी कंपनी ऑलरेडी नीचे भाव में आई है, मतलब जस्ट एक जनरल कंसेंसस है ना, एक जनरिक वाला बात है। तो इसमें आपको बहुत अच्छी अच्छी अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिलेगी पोर्टफोलियो बिल्ड करने की। तो फॉरेक्स लैंड में ऐसा है कि अपॉर्चुनिटी भी आप इसमें निकाल पाएंगे। तो मतलब ये तो हो गया फॉरेक्स लैंड। रही बात अपॉर्चुनिटी, मतलब क्या लग रहा है, तो स्टॉक पिकर के लिए अगला साल बहुत सॉलिड रहने वाला है सर, क्योंकि नेगेटिविटी बहुत ज़बरदस्त है पूरे मार्केट में। मतलब आप देखेंगे ना तो बिगीज में अभी कल ही फंड का डिटेल आया था, इट वॉज 86% कैश। तो मतलब अच्छा, आप काफ़ी बड़े पीएम में देखेंगे, काफ़ी फैमिली ऑफिसेज में सम सिटिंग 25%, सम सिटिंग 30%, सम सिटिंग 40-50% कैश। तो जो मेरी रीड है, जब भी मार्केट इतने बड़े कैश में बैठा होता है तब बड़े ड्रॉडाउन्स नहीं आते हैं। ड्रॉडाउन्स तब आते हैं जब फुली इन्वेस्टेड होते हैं लोग। तो ड्रॉडाउन की मुझे ज़्यादा लग नहीं रहा है, बट वी हैव टू बी स्टॉक पिकर मार्केट। 2025 स्टॉक पिकर मार्केट, दैट्स माय टेक। ओवर टू प्रिंस संदीप जी।
Right, sir. Maya, I sent you the request, so kindly join. And also, I sent to Ganesh Nageshkar and would request if he can join. So, Sandeep, obviously, there are the number of IPOs which came in the 2024 is a high number, and going forward also we see that the number of IPOs are counting more and more. So basis the experience of the past cycles, is there something to read over those numbers? Because we normally see that as far as IPOs are concerned, normally when the market peaks, it is the that the number of IPOs increase at that point in time. So some semblance in those terms, or I mean, it's again
So, Prince,
not
we are
clear.
mixing. Actually, we are mixing this two trends here, and I'll take little time to explain the nuance which I'm trying to present here. First of all, this is very, I mean, classic Buffett, classic Benjamin Graham. Everyone agrees in market that when there is excessive fundraise, often that is market top, and we have already seen it, right? All big IPOs which came in September, October, Hyundai, Ola, those were timed to the perfections, right? Swiggy, etc. So I don't think there is anybody for. I mean, we shouldn't be even arguing that this time is different. I mean, it is already proven that it was a reasonable time. Regarding the number of the IPOs, in fact, in Prince, my face-to-face with Mr. Vivek Bajaj, I specifically tried to do it. Even then, that day, I couldn't articulate to my satisfaction. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to do it today. What I'm trying to suggest is, in India, because of number of people, number of ventures will also be higher. So the concentration of, so we cannot compare ourselves saying that US is, let's say 25 trillion, we are 5 trillion, so we should have one fifth companies. No, it won't work like that. We are 1.4 billion people. Every person has entrepreneurship aspirations. As a society, we may not be as entrepreneurial as, let's say, US is. In fact, today, Nassim Taleb, I mean, I'm diverting a little bit. Taleb has made a great point. I mean, it was an old post, someone requoted it about US, like why USA works. He said USA doesn't work because of intelligent people. USA works because it rewards risk-taking capabilities. The same thing is happening in India. A lot of people can sense it. A lot of people can sense it but cannot articulate. And most people are still struggling to understand what is happening. Not only entrepreneurs, but even investors are ready to take higher risk. So what everyone think is reckless is nothing but we are, traversing towards USA probably 20%. In USA, who is the biggest risk taker? The people in California. So in India, because of financialization of Indian markets, people are ready to back small companies. I'm not even talking about micro caps. I'm talking about smaller companies, right? Once risk capital is available, then it is anybody's game. So why earlier number of companies were less? Because capital was only available to certain big corporate houses. Our debt was available to. If that cycle is somewhat, I mean, it can never be broken. I mean, big will always be more powerful. Big will always have more access, and their chances of availing those capital will always be much higher. But if somehow because of this so-called equity bull run or democratization of Indian market, or people in general a trend where people are skipping um, mutual funds are financial intermediaries trying to do direct retail. In those kind of cases where people are putting significant efforts on scuttlebutt, significant efforts on self-rating the companies, there is a good chance they will not back Reliance Industries. They'll rather back a 2000 crore company, right? Because they can connect with the promoter, go into the con call, they can apply their mind. So and that is what exactly PE funds do. That is what exactly VC funds do. That is what every market investors do. Suddenly, if instead of 500 extra smart people in Mumbai or South Mumbai in 90s or 2000 in 2010, if suddenly 50,000 such people in different parts of India or even worldwide are focusing on Indian capital market, don't get surprised if number of IPOs will increase. That's the point I'm trying to make. So even if we want to really compare whether Indian market is froth, we shouldn't be focused on number of issues. We should rather focus on the fundraise. Fundraise for sure has been tad higher than anywhere else in the world, but it is not so disproportionately higher. But anytime when we talk about India, we should never talk about numbers. It is as frivolous to talk. You often hear Prince those forwards, right? India is number one anthem as per some UN survey. Boss, we are 1.5 billion out of 7 billion. Obviously, every online survey we will always win. So the same trend will apply anywhere you are talking about numbers. So we should always discount numbers when we talk about India. But back to you, Prince.
Thanks, Sandeep. So, Ameya, we were discussing about basically the opportunities going forward, and as we always say, risks are important. So, we also touched upon that. So, Sandeep sir and Amit bhai shared their views. So, perhaps would also appreciate if you share something around like going forward next year. Is it a good year to tone down our expectations? And on the opportunities front, what all you are looking at, and something on risk, how you go about it.
Hello, Prince. Hello, Sandeep bhai. Hello, Amit bhai. Uh, well, good to have a space on New Year's Eve. Well, not New Year's Eve, एक दिन पहले. So, मेरे मेरे आइडियाज कोई बहुत डिफरेंट नहीं है, Prince. To be very honest, I mean, it's an alignment with broader market. To be very honest, but एक चीज जहाँ पे मैं बहुत ultra bullish हूँ, that is basically what is changing in the technology. So technology ऐसी चीज है कि जैसे भी फॉर एग्जांपल ब्रॉडर आईटी पिछले 2 साल उतना ज्यादा परफॉर्म नहीं किया, बट द सेलेक्ट पॉकेट्स, सेलेक्ट कंपनीज kept on performing. आप न्यूजन सॉफ्टवेयर देख लो फॉर एग्जांपल, इट kept on performing regardless बाकी ओवरऑल एज अ ब्रॉडर इंडस्ट्री कहीं भी जाए. सो ऐसे आइडियाज ढूंढना, ऐसे पॉकेट्स ढूंढना, आई फाइंड ग्रेट इंटरेस्ट इन डूइंग दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. उसमें से एक हाथ दूसरा ऐसा लग भी जाता है हाथ में जो बहुत अच्छा कर जाता है, कुछ होते हैं जो कुछ अच्छा नहीं करते हैं. तो टेक्नोलॉजी एज अ थीम आई थिंक और ब्रॉडन हो रहा है. पहले जो काफी स्पेसिफिक कुछ वर्टिकल्स में था, अभी वो हॉरिजॉन्टली काफी अलग अलग सेक्टर्स में भी स्प्रेड हो रहा है. उसका डेफिनेशन चेंज हो रहा है. सो विद जेन एआई स्पेशली कमिंग अप, बहुत सारी चेंजेस हो रहे हैं. तो एक जैसे हम लोग बात करते हैं, ये सारी चीजों का जो एक काइंड ऑफ पैरेंट मेगा ट्रेंड है, दैट इज द इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन, राइट. सो आप एआई ले लो, डेटा सेंटर ले लो, इन जनरल किसी भी तरह का टेक्नोलॉजिकल ग्रोथ ले लो, ये सारी चीजों के लिए आपको आपका पावर, टेलीकम्युनिकेशन और जो आपका इलेक्ट्रिफिकेशन नेटवर्क है, दैट हैज टू बी द बैकबोन, दैट हैज टू बी मच्योर. ग्रिड मॉडर्नाइजेशन, तो ये सारी चीजें हैं जहां पे मैं अभी भी पहले जितना बुलिश था अभी भी उतना ही बुलिश हूँ. एंड या लुकिंग लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू न्यू ईयर. कोई नए आइडियाज के साथ में नहीं जा रहा हूँ मैं. नए आइडियाज जो है एग्जिस्टिंग नहीं है. एंड विल कीप ऑन ऑब्जर्विंग द मार्केट. देखते हैं जैसे कोई नया आइडिया आता है, विल हैव अ लुक.
Thanks, Samia. So coming to Sandeep bhai, I mean, there was a smaller question which I already raised to Amia also. So is it the right year to tone down the expectations because last 3-4 years the returns have been very kind, or I mean, you differ on this that I mean, every year one should give in their 100% and try to be more. I mean, obviously the returns are a function of the market condition as well.
No, returns are obviously function of market conditions. And regarding the toning down of expectation, I think pretty much everyone has been saying it. I mean, you guys can see tweets from pretty much anyone who has any sense about markets, or even main board people who come on CNBC and everything. Amit ji has said in multiple spaces. Ameya has always said, and we have been saying this broad theme based returns, right? Anything defense should fly at 80 times. Anything recycling should fly at 80 times. Anything water. I mean, those big sectoral theme based where, pretty much like entire basket is going up 2 times, 3 times. Those kind of things are in past. there is no way it will return any times. There is, I mean, even whenever the runaway frenzy comes, it always comes with a totally different theme. It never repeats. So that's one. Second thing is, in this kind of market, I mean, first of all, we are not at all in bearish tone. I mean, it is still a fairly resilient market. Don't get confused with the headline indices, which are still frankly down maybe 7-8%, touching 10%, which you can call correction, but we are not even halfway bear market, right? So toning down expectation. I mean, even if you don't tone, if you don't tone down, then what will happen is the moment people try to make 100%, they often will end up making minus 20%, because your mistakes are made when you start chasing returns, right? So if people are comfortable with certain ideas, I mean, I find it very surprising when people are able to find so many new ideas every week. They want to discuss. Like last week, everyone wanted to discuss IGI, and today, like, no one wants to talk about it. In like 5 days, idea is done and dusted. 5% up and down. So people get bored with so much. I mean, it's like a those one night stands. I mean, sorry for using for that word, I couldn't find a better phrase. So it's almost like no one wants to think about a stock more than 7 days. That's not how wealth is made. So obviously time will teach a lot of people some lessons in markets, that why no one ever made phenomenal wealth scalping IPO on day one. It gives you a lot of dopamine, it gives you a kick, it gives you a sense of winning, but beyond that, in past it never created any kind of wealth. Market is essentially for lazy capital and lazy investors, which I'm talking about wealth, not the returns, not the screenshots, the PNL. So, and in this kind of market where a bad mistake and you can get stuck minus 30% and keep on waiting for it, because last year everything, even if you pick a bad stock, bad price, just because everything was running in last 3 years, you were still making some returns. So the cost of mistake was very low, but cost of mistakes will be tiring, if not very high in coming years. So even if people don't tone down, I mean, they will be forced to tone down in a way.
Right. And coming to Amitji, the themes which have been like specifically the renewable space, right? And everybody is talking about the big numbers. And we have also seen companies talking about building captive consumption capacities in-house. So going forward, do you think the optimism is already in price, and maybe they have discounted much more ahead of time rather than the opportunity, or there is a differentiating view in that certain pockets within that value chain are lucrative, or I mean, how you read the space as a whole?
Uh, Thanks, Rich. I am very vocal since last 3-4 months. Everybody knows in many spaces, and I clearly mentioned that like renewable, especially solar and wind, they want to going to create humongous wealth, whatever they did till now. In fact, even some module business, they may erode wealth, whatever they will. Even 50, 60, 70% kind of cut. Any time it may come. When will come, we never know. We can't time that. But chances are, yes, very high chances. Even chances are 90% they will come anytime soon. First thing. So I am not saying numbers will not come. Numbers will come. But valuation will get eroded. The valuation, whatever today we have, we will not see in future. That for sure. What will be the next? We have to see the next value chain. Like now you see, nobody is no project is awarded on a solar. What they are doing? Hybrid. Why hybrid? Solar giving them around the 20%, 20-25% PLF, and the grid. If you make a grid transmission line and you can't feed them, then you won't get the stable power, stable grid. So what will happen? You need the complete package. You can't say कि by solar we can feed everything. No, you can't even stabilize the grid. So what the thing I had if you see in power, I believe in power, renewable is over. I'm not saying the numbers will not come. Numbers will come, but evolution is now over. What next? Transmission is a very big thing. Transmission, a lot of work has to be done, a lot of revamp, lot of new. Both are has to be done. So transmission may continue for 5 years, and 4, 5, 10 years seen. And again, the valuation will be also get the terminal value. Peak valuation they will get. They may arrive in 2 years, 3 years, kind of thing, like solar did, or like any other did. Valuation kind point of view. But in the transmission business, it's a very huge opportunity there. So I believe transmission will do well. First thing, in the power. Second, the transformer like in value chain, all entire value chain, like transformer, like EPC, like conductors, मतलब every kind, and many insulators. So and many allied things. Their components maker, they will make very good margins because demand supply is huge. आज recently I met a company, Prince Bhai. They are a very big player, power, their own plant. What they are looking for? They are looking for transmission player, and they are not getting the right transmission player. They can build up the transmission line. They can do that. So they are looking for the partners. So it's a very short supply. तो पावर चेन में मुझे सबसे बड़ा लग रहा है ट्रांसमिशन एंड अलाइड, जो जो उनके कंपोनेंट सप्लायर हैं, मल्टी कलर चीजें हैं, तो दे विल डू कंपनी मतलब परफेक्टली वेल. और यस प्लीज, एनीथिंग नेक्स्ट यू वांट टू आस्क?
Right, sir. I'll come to you. So we'll talk a little bit about the rural consumption story, right? We have been
हाँ
discussing since long that the revival which we were expecting in rural consumption is not back only. It's the discretionary, or you can say the premiumization is something that consumption is gaining traction, and the companies or businesses which cater to those pockets have been doing consistently well. So do we expect something on like rural consumption can revive in this year, as we have been discussing about the capex and all?
वेरी गुड पॉइंट प्रिंस. It's a very good news for us. Government started picking up capex, right? It's so much pressure from all around to do that capex. Secondly, monsoon this year was fabulous in India. So sowing season will be done, so money will come. So I believe we will see the rural economy, rural spending will be very good from here. So consumer district में जो product है, they will see the good traction from here. So for, even RBI release some funds to government for spending, capex spending. Weekly data will show, will be prove that. Okay. So I think capex is started picking up. So rural consumption is, will get traction, and we can change some. Recently, I show you some. May I take some name for stocks, Prince?
Certainly, sir. For examples, we can
हाँ
always take, no
हाँ
problem.
हाँ हाँ. So Prince, like that, we have seen like campus activewear. He was not doing anything. This kind of stock started moving. Why? Because market thinking कि now consumer जो discretionary consumption has started picking up. Now data from the lower pyramid is moving, is going in the right direction. So this is the biggest news, I tell you. जो बोला ना, best positive news is this only right now at the moment we have. Yes, Prince, over to you.
Right, sir. So Sandeep bhai, same question to you, and similar, obviously sir talked about shoes companies. So there is some, analogy or maybe some saying that when the innerwear companies start to do bad, those are the tough times. And so is there any semblance with the footwear also, or this is totally unrelated?
No, I never had any footwear stock and I never thought about it. But on consumption theme, I think everyone understands there is this huge adoption. Like in 9 months, narrative got totally changed. purely because of price drop, which is in the jewelry. So first jewelry sectors did well, and this whole chatter in private, in public, as in private markets and public markets, international markets, everywhere, and outside of markets also, this heavy adoption of lab grown diamonds. So in tier 3 cities, tier 2 cities, within investors, banking, anywhere you go, and jewelers are now talking about, this coming wave of LGDs. In fact, even the big global houses who only used to work on, natural diamonds, and they were so cynical and they were trying to push it down, they finally kind of accepted it. And these kind of themes are never for 2-3 months. I mean, these go for many, many years. So we have to very closely see who are the likely beneficiary, what will be the the value chain, who will be the winners, who will probably be beneficiary, etc. So that's surely a consumption theme which I could understand. I was lucky to have one stock which was on affordable jewelry. I mean, pretty much everyone understands, and then recently added something in the private space also. And then obviously this whole big talked about a stock called IGI, which pretty much everyone saw. What's the theme? So that is one theme. But overall, I mean, whenever I talk to companies in private market or even in FMCG sector, etc., people are still not very confident about consumption theory. India is still being run on government capex, and then certain these kind of sectors, right, where there is a tremendous focus for variety of reasons, and pretty much the same sectors will continue to drive the significant value creation and probably wealth creation also. So likes of railway, defense, semiconductor, etc. Only thing is, in these kind of sectors, especially in something like as complex as semiconductor, for every one winner, there will be probably 50 bad stories sold and 100 wealth destroyers also. So that kind of situational awareness every investor needs to have. But there is no denying that finally it looks like semiconductor wave is here. I mean, it's not like we were talking for 25 years and it never happened. So it's not like India never tried to become a semiconductor house in late 90s, 80s, when, I mean, everyone has read the chip war book, right, where they talked about it briefly. So India actually set up something in Chandigarh during Rajiv Gandhi era. It never worked, and then we got focused in IT services, etc. So this time it looks like finally something will happen. If that happens, then obviously there will be some big winners. And the beauty or irony of such deep tech kind of sectors are there can never be by definition 100 winners. There has to be some few significant large winners. That's how it works. So it's not EPC like suddenly you'll have like 50 winners in solar EPC or 30 winners. I'm not talking about stock. I'm talking about at least the good balance sheet. People made some operating profits. In semiconductor kind of a space, naturally there will be 3-4 big winners, and then for every one winner there will be 5 wealth destroyers also. But those sectors are here. Defense is a solid theme because government is so focused. They're literally chasing companies after companies, giving LOI. We talked about that VC mindset in this space. Defense, Ministry of Defense. I mean, we keep on hearing these kind of approvals. In private, it is happening much larger, Prince, because what happens is most of these companies are getting what they called a letter of intent, LOIs, right? So listed market obviously cannot fund a piece of paper, but private markets investors are always ready to take much larger risk. So those LOIs will get converted into orders will get converted into some kind of P&L, etc. And that's when probably the stories will mature and will come to the public markets. But the work is real, so there shouldn't be any cynicism around whether the work is real or not. But how to capture that wealth in what form is for individual investors to figure out. So these are some of the themes. A non-sectoral theme which I want to highlight is again uh, uh, is the big fund managers. A lot of them are getting rotated also. So I'll not take names, but anybody can figure out that some very big popular PMSs, and just not the one which gets trolled, but even some of the other ones which don't get trolled, are seeing significant redemptions. So people are moving out money from mutual funds, from large PMSs, etc., and trying to find out much more nimbler, smaller PMSs, smaller AIFs. In fact, a lot of money is being raised in AIF, which is very unlikely because AIF as a structure was here, and it's just not the micro caps SME anchor theme, but these AIFs are literally getting huge money. It is so much of money they're able to raise, something which probably mainstream funds are struggling because they don't have opportunity. So by the time, those bigger fund managers who have dealt market in a certain way will realize a lot of, ground would have been shifted. So those who are little deeper into markets will understand what I mean. So be aware of those trends also. He was a very popular figure and had a track record in last 10 years. Things are changing and things are changing very fast. And those things will get reflected not only in the kind of companies which will create wealth, but even kind of fund managers who are able to figure out those trends. But over to Ameya and Amiji.
Sandeep, thank you.
Yeah, Mitch.
Uh, So, I rightly said, मतलब, this year certain themes going to be very big. Uh, I think as Sandeep ji said, some semiconductor. Semiconductor is going to be a very big theme. I totally agree with him. And PM Modi, मतलब, I think mentioned more than 20 times that make in India in semiconductor. And he's not just talking, he's doing a lot of things, encouraging a lot of things. And we can see in the ground that things are happening. Lot of fab units are coming, work is going on. And we will see we will become the significant player. And Amaya, sorry, Prince Bhai, you will be surprised to know we were significant player uh, uh, 2 decade back, 2 3 decade backs in a semiconductor space. We were the top player, India. You will be surprised to hear this. And over the period, we lost this domain, and we are nowhere. 20, 30 years, 20, 25 years back, we were among the top players in India, in global space, in this space. And I'm sure we will regain our sport, and we will do the things, get back our space. Second thing, and a lot of things are happening here, sir. And I tell you, the global giants having most place Indian talent. You won't believe, a lot of Indian talent is there. Key Indian talent, not just talent. Lower side, में, higher side, middle side. They are very key Indian talent. They are driving the things, which is very important thing. And we are not we are ignoring that because it's a very this industry is talent based industry. Capital will flow, but if talent is there, na, and Indian entrepreneurs can bring these talent, then you will see the wonder. It will be, you know, we can't even think of what can happen. It's beyond our thought and mind. Secondly, what Sandeep is saying, defense. So, I can visualize very small companies getting very big encouragement from government, and a lot of things are getting imported. So government want to control, cut down the import zero itself, and from many product. So what the government has to do? So they have to encourage local player. How? Giving them opportunity, and the lot of LOIs then come from orders, and many things are happening, sir. Many things are happening. You will see, sir, uh, many companies, 50, 100 companies, even more. That is lot of big amount of uh, defense material they will produce. That for sure. And sir, a data center theme है. Uh, it's a very special theme. I may throw more light on it, but it's a very special. I think the government is committed to keep data in India itself. So lots of data center is coming up. So very few stores are there right now, but opportunity is huge, sir. So this is another story. I feel could be very big. It's a mega trend kind of things. So over to you, Amaya,
Right, sir.
please.
Thank you. So, coming to Ameya basically would try to understand more from you on two spaces, the semiconductor theme and basically the data centers. And obviously, there is no
Yeah.
denying fact both the themes are very important. But just want to understand, are there any mispricing or big opportunities you see? Obviously, as we were discussing, that big winners will come out of from this space. But as of now, if we talk today, the opportunities which are available, and of course, we as an investors always see value or to say mispricings in the companies or opportunities. So names are not important, but just to understand the landscape, like how you are seeing at this point in time.
Yeah, see, the thing is, we have to understand कि semiconductor का जो theme है या data center का जो theme है, that is essential from many aspects. Not only on the self-reliance and sustainability as a nation perspective, but from the security perspective as well, right? So, like just couple of days ago, I was reading one article on Twitter where there was a specific issue highlighted with the encryption that is used in the government communication device. So whenever people are closer to the border, so आप अगर देखोगे ना ये छोटे छोटे इश्यूज हैं बट you cannot rely on external component manufacturers. We have EMS players, we have people who do the surface mounting and all that, जो value chain में काफी नीचे आता है, if you see. But the point is, unless we have an entire ecosystem supporting these industries, uh, definitely we will not rise, right? So that is exactly what is happening right now. And exactly just as Sandeep bhai ne bola, right? So the ability to take the risk and ability to go beyond traditional IT services, that is changing very significantly. आप देखो अनलिस्टेड स्पेस की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ बट स्टार्टअप स्पेस में आप अगर देखोगे तो द नंबर ऑफ कंपनीज हु आर वर्किंग इन द लेट्स से क्वांटम की हम लोग बात करें क्वांटम की हमने बात करना नहीं चाहिए आई डोंट वांट टू टॉक अबाउट इट बिकॉज द एंटायर इकोसिस्टम इज वेरी डिफरेंट द कंपोनेंट रिक्वायर्ड फॉर क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग are totally different and we do not have any domestic manufacturing, right? The point I'm trying to make is ये जो थीम्स है ये बहुत बड़े पिक्चर का पार्ट है इन माय व्यू. सो डोमेस्टिक लुकिंग इनवर्ड लुकिंग टेक्नोलॉजी ये एक अब सिंपल एक थेसिस लेके चलो and you do a top down approach based on that, you'll find lot of ideas coming out of these, right? So that's exactly where I think the biggest alpha is for us as an investor. Semiconductor तो horizontal हो रहा है धीरे धीरे, right? So आप जो EDA activities करते हो, for example, that is अब डिफेंस के लिए भी वो उतना ही जरूरी है. यू लुक एट द काइंड ऑफ सपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट इज एक्सटेंडिंग टू स्मॉल कंपनीज हु बिल्ड इन सिस्टम ऑन चिप्स, एसओसी जो बोलते हैं, राइट? सो वी यूज टू मैन्युफैक्चर स्मॉल चिप्स बट हम लोग अभी धीरे धीरे चिप्स टू प्रोडक्ट चिप टू सिस्टम ये जो ट्रांजिशन है ये इंडिया में स्लोली हो रहा है. वी आर नो वेयर क्लोज टू यूएस, ओके, लेट्स नॉट इवन कंपेयर टू दैट, बट वी हैव टू स्टार्ट समवेयर, करेक्ट? सो उसके लिए एक बहुत रोबस्ट इकोसिस्टम, इनवर्ड लुकिंग इकोसिस्टम होना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि उस चीज का स्टार्ट ऑलरेडी हो चुका है. एंड yesterday itself I was discussing with someone and I was saying ki, with all the due respect to Indian IT industry, I also work in the Indian IT industry, so it has given me bread and butter or made me what I am. But I truly think that पिछले जो 20 साल है, those are probably something that we have lost. Otherwise we would have made जो प्रोग्रेस इंजीनियरिंग साइड पे, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग साइड पे हम लोग कर सकते थे. ऐसा नहीं है कि हमारे पास में इंजीनियरिंग टैलेंट नहीं है, बट बहुत सारा इंजीनियरिंग टैलेंट जो था वो वेरी वेरी रिसेंटली, अभी अभी तक आई थिंक 7-8 साल 10 साल पहले तक फोर्सफुली इंडियन आईटी सर्विसेज में आता था, जो अभी स्लोली चेंज हो रहा है. आई थिंक दिस पॉइंट ऑल्सो इज समथिंग अमित भाई रिसेंटली टच्ड, राइट? सो इनवर्ड लुकिंग जो टेक्नोलॉजी है, जो डोमेस्टिक लुकिंग टेक्नोलॉजी है, दैट कैन बी फॉर एनीथिंग. दैट कुड बी फॉर प्रिसिजन इंजीनियरिंग, टूल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, it could be for process automation, it could be for design and system creation, it could be for system on chips, it could be for anything, right? The semiconductor हो ये it basically cuts through everywhere. हमारे warfares भी जो है वहां पे भी आप अगर देखोगे तो you require very highly analog chips. Digital chips आप for multiple reasons के लिए use करते हो, but when it comes to the defense sector as specifically, you need a analog and very strong player who have capability in building analog chips and the entire ecosystem around it because of the density of the signal and all these things that typically the analog chips support. तो ये सारा इकोसिस्टम धीरे धीरे इंडिया में बन रहा है. और जैसे संदीप भाई ने बोला, राइट, सो अर्लियर देयर वर नॉट मेनी पीपल रेडी टू फंड दीज वेंचर्स. नहीं तो देखो आप, शांख्या लैब जैसा कंपनी, इट हैज बीन अराउंड सिंस क्वाइट अ लॉन्ग टाइम, एंड दे गॉट एक्वायर्ड. ऐसा नहीं है कि दे डिडंट वांट टू इंडिपेंडेंटली परफॉर्म. ऐसे बहुत सारे प्लेयर्स हैं. And if you look at the kind of support Indian government is extending to small players who are building as simple as, security systems on chip, for example. Just take example अगर हम लोग ले. And जो इंडियन डिफेंस फोर्सेस हैं, उनमें उनको जो इंजेक्ट करने का जो अभी सपोर्ट गवर्नमेंट से मिल रहा है, दैट इज फिनोमिनल. आप मैरीटाइम सिक्योरिटीज देख लीजिए, आप आपका फिशरीज जो होता है, या फिर आपका जो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ बॉर्डर्स दैट वी हैव, वहां पे एसेट ट्रैकिंग सिस्टम्स जो गवर्नमेंट डिप्लॉय कर रहा है, शिपिंग इंडस्ट्री में जो ये चीजें डिप्लॉय हो रही है, आप अगर देखोगे तो ये सेमीकंडक्टर है या इनवर्ड फेसिंग टेक्नोलॉजी है, ये सारे सेक्टर्स को कट थ्रू करता है. So that's why I think this is a very, very big mega trend. It has multiple proxies. जो transmission अमित सर ने बोला, that is one of the kind of a big daddy of everything. Then you have ये सारे इतने सारे आपका जो टेक्नोलॉजिकल ग्रोथ हो रहा है, नेचुरली यू नीड योर ओन डोमेस्टिक प्रोसेसिंग एंड कंप्यूट कैपेबिलिटीज. दैट इज वाई यू सी कंपनीज जो डोमेस्टिक कंप्यूट कंपनीज है, डोमेस्टिक एचपीसी बिल्डर्स है, no matter the kind of valuation they are trading at the moment, they will continue to trade a higher valuation, right? Because we are building our own domestic ecosystem around it. There are very small players. हमारे domestic linguistic models बन के आ रहे हैं अभी मार्केट में. So ये जो change है, ये Indian look, the willingness to look beyond the service mindset, मेरे हिसाब से वो अभी बहुत significantly change हो रहा है. And we will see lot of startups coming up in the AI, Gen AI, and all these kind of things from this point onwards. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है, regardless जो भी बाहर ट्रबल्स हैं, लेकिन जो भी हम लोग इनवर्ड्स फेसिंग टेक्नोलॉजी, अगर ये एक चीज को थीम को लेके हम लोग उसको ड्रिल डाउन करने का ट्राई करें, आई एम प्रीटी श्योर विल फाइंड अ टन ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज.
Thanks,
सर,
Amir.
संदीप भाई,
इसमें
anything to add on
actually
that?
I want to add one thing.
हाँ, सॉरी.
Sorry. Abhi ji, just a quick short one on this. I mean, at least I was guilty of, misreading this. I mean, and now I'm trying to connect few dots here. So back in 2002, when I was passing out from my engineering days, I mean, basically NIT Allahabad, we used to have Cent Microelectronics as one of the key employer in electronics and electrical both. So my batch topper was there, and in fact, in most of IT and ITs those days, they used to come. In fact, first ever GCC in India was Texas Instrument. I mean, it was before GE came in Gurgaon on DLF side. I think TI is the first GCC as per certain articles in Bangalore in late 1980s. So it's not like semiconductor GCCs were not there, but they were only doing design work for different, global ventures. And I'm flipping the point which I'm trying to make is just few days back, I heard a clip from Mr. Tim Cook where he said like it's a myth that these companies are going to China for cheap labor. He said long back China stopped being a cheap labor place, but they are going for the kind of tooling engineers these China can have. So he basically said like if I have to find out the great tooling engineers in USA, I won't be able to fill a conference room. While in China, you can easily have 10, 15 football stadiums filled with world-class tooling engineers. So while we had the mind capabilities and those kind of capabilities, Qualcomm is here, NPX is so many GCCs are there. In fact, I'm just pasting a list of GCCs working in semiconductor, but we never had the manufacturing, engineering, precision kind of capabilities, which now slowly are coming. And those will not come from IIT, IIMs, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. Those will come from a smaller manufacturing setups which are trying to move up, and hopefully the engineering in true senses of engineering prowess will also evolve in India. So last 25 years, while it has done great wonders to us as an India as a country because of the kind of repatriation we get from Indian IT services, but probably that trend, as Amir you are saying, will dramatically shift towards the real engineering skills also in coming 5 years, 10 years.
I want to add something on a thing Amaya mentioned in a statement that government don't rely on IP outside Indian. Indian outside IP for the defense, like on border areas, security personnel, army, and everything. And you were surprised to know. Well, I was surprised to know that we don't had that IP since since long. And a very small company generated that Indian IP recently. So I was surprised, and and that would still stayed. I tell you. So, matlab, things are moving very fast, and innovation and happening, sir. And for that, Indian top three Indian IT companies were done lot of work, lot of efforts, but they couldn't succeed. But a small company done it. So
Right, sir. So Sandeep bhai, yeah, sorry. Please continue, sir.
I'm done, sir. I'm done. So I think a lot of
Okay,
great work
okay.
is going on, sir. So we will see wherever is the great work, we will see the huge wealth creation. Simple. I think.
Agree, sir. So, Sandeep bhai, we always see that whenever there are opportunities and those are well discussed as we were discussing with Ameya, you and Amit ji. But again, the hot themes are basically also, it happens that the wrong set of people or not so right companies also missell, or maybe they play market on the names of hot themes, be it semiconductor, defense, and whatnot. In such cases, I mean, obviously, the people like you are well read and well connected, so perhaps mota mati pata chal jata hai. But for people who are very new and they want to play those themes, so oftentimes it happens कि भाई they make a wrong choice of company. तो प्राइमा फेसी उससे बचने के लिए कुछ ऐसा लगता है कि सम हाइजीन चेक can be done by anyone.
I mean, it's all classic people reading, right? How do you? I mean, roadside there are many people who sell snake oil also, right? Vast majority of India still buys those, oil for growing your hair. So there will always be mis-selling, right? In real estate and I mean any segment of society, right? So it will be in markets. People can easily see. I don't think it is because of naivety or lack of knowledge people get trapped into these things. It's classic greed, right? Even they can sense that there are certain part of stories which doesn't fit. I mean, just other day, like 2 days back, we went into a private discussions, as in unlisted discussion, company claiming to get first billion of some MAU, and they're not even saying that this is 1 billion. They are saying this is first of the many billions they will get, and they were trying to raise $23 crores. And I'm like, sorry, I mean, I mean, what to even say? So sometimes you have to connect some of these very obvious dots where people doing hardware tradings are selling themselves as data centers. People literally who are builders are India's hottest data center stocks. uh, I mean, I say less the better. That's all I can say. And wishing everyone else, but anybody with any open mind, people claiming to be the AI engine and this engine and that engine and everything, and doesn't even have 20 people in their LinkedIn, right? And anybody who works in Indian IT knows that there is no way any capable person will not have a LinkedIn account. It's just not possible. Right. I mean, 99% of people working in white collar in India, immediately day one, they create their LinkedIn profiles. And anyone, at least in the industry, see, I can understand if you're not from IT, you can get trapped. I'm talking about the people who have the capability to understand what kind of profiles these people have, and but then somehow they miraculously know all the softwares, all the products. They're able to, I mean, TCS, Infosys, all these people never were able to create the products, but there are so many companies which are claiming to create these kind of fancy products and able to sell. And they have literally learned a lot of words also, TAM, moat, and those sort of things. So I'll not go too much because otherwise it becomes ranting. But Prince, I don't think people uh, are less, people don't understand, they're just greedy, and that's why they miss.
I want to add something. मतलब प्रशांत जैन है जो HDFC म्यूचुअल फंड के बहुत फेमस पोस्टर बॉय थे अपने म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री के. उनके he made 87,000 crore wealth for his investor. तो प्रिंस आप बोलते नहीं काफी विनर आएंगे लूजर आएंगे, तो उनका बताऊं, जिस बंदे ने इतनी बड़ी वेल्थ क्रिएट की, उनका हर चौथा स्टॉक फेल हुआ, ठीक है ना. इट्स अ वेरी ओपन स्टोरी, एनीबडी कैन रीड इट. उनका हर चौथा स्टॉक फेल हुआ, ठीक है. तो मतलब और एक स्टॉक में उन्होंने इतना रिटर्न बनाया कि जितने भी सारे जो 55 स्टॉक फेल हुए थे उनके, तो उसमें से आई थिंक, आई मे बी रॉन्ग, नंबर ऊपर नीचे होगा, कि पहले काफी पहले बड़ी थी स्टोरी. तो एक स्टॉक में जितना पैसा नुकसान किया, मतलब बनाया ना, सारा लॉस कवर किया एक स्टॉक से, ठीक है. मतलब 25% स्टॉक में लॉस किया उन्होंने, एंड वो सारा लॉस एक स्टॉक से कवर किया. एंड फ्यू स्टॉक्स उनसे करीबन कुछ आई थिंक हार्डली 10% स्टॉक थे, लेस देन 10% स्टॉक, उनसे उन्होंने करीबन 70-80% पैसा बनाया. तो मतलब ये लाइफ में हर जगह है फ्रेंड्स. तो एक ही थीम में कुछ विनर होंगे, कुछ लूजर होंगे, कुछ फॉरवर्ड भी निकलेंगे, बट दैट्स फाइन, दैट्स इन्वेस्टिंग ना. कुछ इसमें लक भी काम करता है, कुछ आपका रिसर्च वगैरह भी काम करता है कि वेयर टू बी सिट, एंड आपको बराबर रिव्यू करना होता है कि क्या कर रहे हैं, आर वी आर टेकिंग राइट और नॉट. सो दैट्स हाउ इट वर्क्स.
Right, sir. So, Sandeep bhai, one quick question before I come to Ameya. So, pharma and chemicals में I mean, आप खुद ही बताते हो कि you don't invest या मतलब तो is there any particular reason apart from like prima facie बहुत ज्यादा नहीं समझ में आता है वो space, और या फिर
नहीं,
gestation period उसमें
समझ
ज्यादा
में नहीं
रहता
आता
है?
है,
Any
सिक्लिकलिटी है. आई थिंक, आई मीन, इट्स नॉट लाइक दो सेक्टर्स हैव नॉट क्रिएटेड वेल्थ, but it's just beyond my capabilities and lack of deep industry understanding. So since I'm unable to call the cycles, and these are not buy and forget kind of a stock, so you have to have a very good quality understanding of cycles, which I don't have, and that's why I don't even attempt. I mean, if I have to ever take exposure to these sectors, I'll probably take it via ETFs, or will let professional fund managers do the job who probably understands it better. So that's just me being me.
right. So, Ameya, apart from the sectors or pockets we just discussed, be the tech, semiconductor, defense, and whatnot, any other pockets you are looking at or you are consolidating in these pockets alone? And apart from that, any pockets of mispricing to say if there are any to your mind?
नहीं यार, honestly, see, the thing is, everything is connected, what we just talked about, right? So it's kind of part of one big mega trend. It's just that different pockets we are playing. Another thing where, like I said, is basically the precision tooling, precision manufacturing. वो एक space है, but again, like I said, वो already it's part of the bigger mega trend that we talked about. Um, Other than that, honestly, I'm not very actively looking for new ideas. Rather, I'm very critical of new ideas, because the kind of businesses which are coming up, वो छोटा सा कुछ तो एक आधा स्विच वगैरह बनाते होंगे, या कुछ पावर्स केबल बनाते होंगे, and then they start getting tagged as data center stocks. Yeah, to be very honest with you, SD card banana and NAND gate के chips banana is not a semiconductor company, यार. And you, so that's why I'm very careful of जहाँ जहाँ कहीं narrative building बहुत ज्यादा है, I try to stay out of these. कोई अच्छे अगर businesses आते हैं जहाँ पे genuine scale है, तो definitely will take time to study, but it's a process, right? I mean, you cannot get into a stock and create a big position out of FOMO. Otherwise, you end up getting at wrong time. And ये मैंने किया है पिछले साल में. Even though I have had many big winners, I have also gotten into stocks जहाँ पे I should have actually waited out a little bit. So, not very actively looking into any new names. जो हम एग्जिस्टिंग होल्ड कर रहा हूँ, टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विथ यू, वहां पे कन्विक्शन इतना स्ट्रांग है कि अगर थोड़ा बहुत करेक्शन वहां मिल जाता है, तो वहीं पे अंडर परफॉर्मिंग पोजिशन काट के आई विल मूव इनटू दोस, बट नॉट एक्टिवली लुकिंग एट न्यू नेम्स एज ऑफ नाउ. अनलिस्टेड में अगर कोई अपॉर्चुनिटीज आती है अच्छी, तो कीप ऑन इवेल्युएटिंग, सो दैट इज अनदर थिंग. जो
राइट हमें या अमित जी।
हाँ, मुझे लगता है कि दो थीम और है जिसको देखना चाहिए। अभी गवर्नमेंट का कभी जब हम भी आर सेइंग कि हम लोग 5 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बन जाएंगे, 7 ट्रिलियन बन जाएंगे, मेक इन इंडिया एवरीथिंग, तो कैपेक्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी बिग। तो कैपेक्स जो है ये बड़ा मेगा थीम है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि 1 साल 2 साल का ही है। कैपेक्स जो कैपिटल गुड्स, सॉरी, कैपिटल इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी बिग। आज कहीं भी मैन्युफैक्चरिंग आना है तो अच्छा इम्पोर्ट सब्स्टिट्यूशन हो, चाइना प्लस वन हो या और कहीं वन हो, या जो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड भी देख रहा है कि चाइना प्लस वन हो, तो उनको फीड करना है, हमें खुद को फीड करना है। तो मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के बिना पॉसिबल नहीं है, और बिना केपेक्स के, कैपिटल गुड के, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग होना नहीं है। तो कैपिटल गुड्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी बिग, एंड ये मतलब चलते रहेगा। आई थिंक ये मतलब अगले 5 साल 7 साल का थीम है। हो सकता है कभी सबड्यूड रहे, कभी बहुत ज़्यादा तेज चले, बट ये कंसिस्टेंट कंपाउंडर बनेंगे, इसमें बहुत सारे कंपाउंडर आएंगे, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। और एक और थीम है सर, रिसाइकलिंग। रिसाइकलिंग में ये पॉलिसी बेस्ड थीम है। गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी ऐसी काफ़ी ग्लोबली चल रहा है बाकी तो, बट ये काफ़ी कुछ मतलब यू सी, अपना टायर रिसाइकिल ले लो, अपना प्लास्टिक रिसाइकिल ले लो, अपना ईपीआर नॉर्म्स आए हुए हैं सारे, तो लॉट ऑफ ये बैटरी रिसाइकिल, ई वेस्ट ले लीजिए। तो हर तरह की रिसाइकलिंग में ये काफ़ी बड़ा इंडस्ट्री मेरे को लगता है कि बन जाएगा, एंड इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी इमर्जिंग थिंग। हालांकि अभी तक इसमें कुछ सिग्निफिकेंट कुछ हुआ नहीं है, कोई बड़ी चीज़ बनी नहीं है, बट बनेगी। मतलब काफ़ी कंपनियां हैं जो काफ़ी सीरियस काम कर रही है, एंड मतलब हर तरह की जो वेस्ट प्रोसेसिंग में काफ़ी काम हो रहा है। इट गोइंग टू बी वेरी वेरी गुड थिंग, आई मस्ट से। ओवर टू प्रिंस।
राइट। तो संदीप भाई, नॉर्मली ये सभी के साथ होता है, फ्यू कंपनीज इन द पोर्टफोलियो डू वेल, फ्यू कंपनीज डू नॉट परफॉर्म एंड फ्यू माइट बिकम लेगर्ड्स। तो उसमें बेसिकली जब एटलीस्ट मार्केट अच्छा चल रहा हो, आपका थॉट प्रोसेस अच्छा है, सारी चीजें मतलब आपने देख के ड्यू डिलिजेंस करके कंपनी ली है, फिर भी मार्केट उसको अप्रिशिएट नहीं कर रही, इस केस में नॉर्मली ऐसा हो जाता है कि कई बार frustration obviously individuals में आ जाता है, and some people may take a wrong decision at the wrong time, maybe selling early or keeping in those companies for long. तो behaviorally इसको tackle करना, like how specifically you cater to this, and ideally क्या इसमें रहता है कि कैसे
Yeah,
इसको cater करना चाहिए कि भाई।
Prince, I got your question. See, the reality is, अगर हम दो तीन ब्रॉड मिस्टेक्स बचा लेते हैं तो उसके बाद जो बीच का 80% मार्केट है उसमें बस हम अप एंड डाउन प्ले कर रहे होते हैं. If we can avoid, outright fraud companies, which are always there 5-10% and which have enough telltale signs that this is just too good to be true, they are like enough red flags, just stay out of it. In trying to identify those 10%, you may probably end up thinking of 20% as some kind of having red flags, and that is fine because you are never penalized for wrong exclusion. You get penalized only for wrong selections. Similarly, everyone should also have this simple mathematical awareness, which is what Amitji was talking about. In fact, I quickly found out that interview also of Mr. Prasanjan. It was, I think, his farewell interview 2 years back from HDFC, which is when he said like only one single winner was more than enough to take care of all the losses he incurred in his long career, right? And then he talked about how just to read it out, he said one of every four were losers. This is Mr. Prashant Jain. I mean, I don't think we ever had a bigger public fund managers. We might have had few bigger marquee investors. One out of every 100 were big losers. 1 out of 20 were big winners, and rest were just winners. But important, what he said was one single name was more than enough of his 25 loss making stocks. So that's how the maths work, that's how the markets work, that's how the life works, and we shouldn't be surprised. And for that reason, anybody who's always constantly churning portfolio, he will always miss on that big winner, and then he will, even if he's not holding on his losers, he will be in a lot of mediocre winners. सो बियॉन्ड दैट ऊपर नीचे जो भी करते रहते हैं. और उसमें अभी मैंने लास्ट वीक एक ऐसे ट्वीट डाली थी 2 दिन पहले, फॉलन एंजल्स, राइट? सो यू हैव टू ऑलवेज लुक एट मिसप्लेस्ड अपॉर्चुनिटीज. देयर इज लॉट ऑफ फियर इन ट्विटर बिकॉज पीपल आर सो फुल ऑफ एनर्जी, दे आर ऑलवेज ट्राइंग टू डू एक्शंस. सेम स्टॉक्स को समझते हैं, मुझसे आकर के पर्सनल लेवल्स पे बात करते हैं और हर 7वें दिन में फिर पूछते हैं कि भैया क्या करूं, अभी 7 दिन में क्या हो गया, क्या करूं, मतलब क्या करोगे क्या आप? बिजनेस ने भी कुछ नहीं किया होगा, क्या कर लोगे आप? जस्ट बिकॉज इट इज डाउन 10%, इट इज अप 10%, दे वांट टू डू समथिंग. So that's not how businesses are work, and that's not how markets work. So anytime there is a big selling because of pre-IPOs, because of anchors and everything, if it is your favorite stock, there is actually an opportunity to buy rather than sell. But if it is not your favorite stock, just because someone is selling and it has crashed down 30%, that doesn't make it also. Then there are, I mean, I talked about 3 stocks, which I don't want to name it right now here, but it is there in my Twitter timelines. And I'm very sure there will be many such opportunities. So I personally, coming to our favorite zone, I'm finding decent opportunities in year 2 of listed companies because few typical issues are sorted. One, any risk of, cooked up and not cooked up, maybe decked up financials ahead of listed, that is past. You have seen 2 results. Anchor is gone, pre-IPOs is gone, right? So you have a reasonable idea of what that company is. Some of those are really big winners, so they are already, very fancy valuations. So obviously you won't find value there. But there are some decent companies which are very hyped up at the time of listing. So there is enough public data about the promoter quality and those sort of things. But people are in case of disbelief. So those kind of, that's what I called fallen angels. Actually, it's a very standard term in credit side. There are many distressed credit funds which actually do it as an equity investor, and obviously that can't be my 100% of portfolio. I was just bored of trying to follow a standard template, so I thought let me get out of the box, try to squeeze few easy singles here and there. So that's what we as an investor also constantly need to challenge us. In challenging, you will get it wrong also. Someone came back saying, like, Sandeep, how can you say, actually he was telling it to someone else that now X person has entered and everything. So again, I'll say anybody who starts his investment discussion basis, Ameya ji has bought and Amit ji has sold, and that's why this is good or bad, or vice versa. I mean, a learned person should feel very uh, insulted if that is how he thinks. So people talking about quality of anchor books, this. I mean, come on, guys. I mean, you guys are learned. So stop focusing on people, focus on companies. Um, Even marquee investors have so many times exited great stocks at very wrong places, right? So if you all you have to do is copy, then just pay 1%, and all these people are running funds. Most of these market investors are running fund. All they are charging is 1%. Why do you need to copy anyone when you can literally give them 1% and ask them to work for you? What is this fixation of trying to find out which mutual fund has bought what, when mutual fund itself is saying give me 1%, I'll do it for you. So if you are really a direct investor, you should just kill this idea of trying to find out who is what, etc. People should actually treat it as some kind of a insult to their intellectual capabilities if their argument is that I bought it because X person has bought it or sold it. But over to you, Prince.
I
Yeah.
want to add something.
Yeah, one question. Please, sir.
हाँ, अभी आप प्रिंस आप बोल रहे थे कि भाई लोग थोड़ा स्टॉक नीचे आता है तो पीपल रिएक्ट लाइक स्टार्ट ट्रेडिंग, स्टार्ट सेलिंग एंड बाइंग एवरीथिंग. तो मैं बोलूँगा कि केवल 2 चीज़ पे आपको फोकस करना चाहिए. मतलब मतलब आपका फंडामेंटल ड्रॉडाउन, मतलब फंडामेंटल अगर खराब हो रहे हैं आपके और इतने खराब हो रहे हैं कि वापस सही नहीं होने वाले या कुछ ऐसा है और ऐसा कुछ हो रहा है, देन यू टू थिंक यार मेरे को स्टॉक बेचना चाहिए इवन इफ वो स्टॉक नहीं गिर रहा है तब भी. देन यू शुड थिंक ऑफ एग्जिट. अदरवाइज यू आर नॉट टू, मतलब अगर आपने अच्छा आइडिया पे काम किया, मेहनत किया, सब कुछ किया है और वो इट्स गोइंग इन राइट वे, राइट डायरेक्शन, देन यू शुड राइड इट. तभी तो आप, जब तक आप विनर को राइड नहीं करेंगे ना, तब तक वो आपको रिटर्न नहीं देगा. मतलब अभी अगेन फिर मैं एक स्टोरी बोलूंगा कि वारेन बफेट से पूछा कि क्या कि भैया आपके बारे में इतनी बुक्स लिखा हुआ गया है, इतना सब कुछ है, एंड सो मेनी इंफॉर्मेशन यू हैव, everybody knows your investing style, what you do, what you don't do. So even though why we don't have any other Warren Buffett. तो वारेन बफेट ने बोला यार कि वो सब बात सही बोली तुमने कि मेरा इन्वेस्टिंग स्टाइल सबको पता है, मैंने सब लिखा है, बट नोबडी हैव पेशेंस. सबको पैसा मतलब जल्दी बनाना है, तुरंत बनाना है. एंड आई हैव पेशेंस. नॉलेज एवरीवन है कि ये करना चाहिए वो नहीं करना चाहिए, ठीक है, लेकिन पेशेंस किसी में नहीं है. तो दैट्स व्हाई वी डोंट हैव एनी अदर वॉरेन बफेट. आई हैव पेशेंस टू बिकम रिच, बोले ना, स्लोली. तो प्रिंस में बोलना इजी है, सुनना भी इजी है, लेकिन उसको बोलते हैं ना कि करना, निभाना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो वी डोंट रियली, क्या होता है, थोड़ा डरावना होता है. वी हमको खुद को भी कॉन्फिडेंस मिलता है कि यार क्या हो रहा है, कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं हो रहा है, ये नहीं हो रहा है. हम लोग 5, 10, 15, 20% का डाउट भी नहीं झेल पाते हैं. एंड व्हाट यू वांट कि हमें 10 गुना, 15 गुना, 20 गुना पैसा बनना चाहिए. तो जब तक नहीं बनेगा सर, आप एक स्टॉक उठा के बता दो हिस्ट्री में जो बड़ा मल्टीप्लिकेटर बना हो और उसमें 20, 30, 40, 50% की ड्रॉडाउन कभी नहीं है. यू वोंट फाइंड एनी, सर. ओवर टू यू प्लीज.
So true. So Sandeep bhai, one question is from Vignesh. He is asking, I am a beginner. Shall I consider small case suggestions?
I think a small case, I understand what the product or the feature is. Again, if you really understand that particular fund manager or advisor, then obviously go ahead. If you're really a beginner and you probably don't have a good advisor or someone who can suggest which is small case, then straight away go to the mutual fund. But for any beginner, 80% into mutual fund, which is indirect investing, where a professional fund manager is doing this job, and it can be mutual fund, it can be AF, it can be small case, it can be any advisory, but someone who is basically trained to do that job is always a good idea. And 20% for self learning, because no matter how much you remain in market, unless you try few things on your own, there is never a similar amount of learning. So that's why direct equity investor, even they often struggle first 5 years, 10 years. By end of 2 cycles, 3 cycles, they suddenly understand it's not so complex also. So my standard advice is always to put 80% into instruments which are being managed by others, and 20% for self. This can only be exception if, one, you already have enough wealth capital, you can afford to make mistakes, or two, you're already working in this industry. In that sense, you have extra incentives to go little more. For normal person, it is always good to probably put 80% into professional fund manager's hand and 20% just for learning and tracking.
Thank you. So, Ameya, obviously these questions appear very basic, but again, we had a fantastic year 2024. Any one big learning and one big mistake which you made, and definitely same question to Sandeep and Amit ji.
One big learning is basically if matlab, you have to believe in your own research and own thesis. And Sandeep bhai correctly said, it cannot start with people. Uh, it has to be your own independent research. Ideas network से आते हैं. Idea, नेसेसरी नहीं है कि आपका हमेशा आपका खुद का ओरिजिनल हो. आइडिया नेटवर्क से आते हैं, बट उस चीज के लिए नेटवर्किंग बहुत जरूरी है. बट उसके बाद आप जो भी उस आइडिया के ऊपर काम करते हो, दैट हैज टू बी योर ओन. You go to people to either see ki whether that idea is, and whatever research you're doing or whatever your thesis is correct, or you wanted to get some contra perspective to understand whether you are daydreaming or you are really connecting the right dots or not. So वो जो एक इंडिपेंडेंट थिंकिंग है, वो बहुत बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. ये चीज का, ये आई थिंक मेरा बहुत बिगेस्ट लर्निंग है 2024 का. एंड मिस्टेक ऐसा है ना, like again it is connected with that itself. So that's why the quality of network is so very important. Um, Sometimes you will find ideas, and you will not know how long to hold those two, right? कभी कभी ऐसा हो जाता है कि बहुत सारा उसका जो रिटर्न होता है वो बहुत बहुत पहले ही दे देती है वो कंपनी. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल अभी इट्स इट्स अ पब्लिक इंफॉर्मेशन, जैसे E2E में हुआ फॉर एग्जांपल. तो expecting every other idea to be like just like E2E, it's just not realistically possible. I'll be very honest with you. E2E जैसा रिटर्न जो मेरा लास्ट किसी स्टॉक ने दिया था, उतना जल्दी, उतना शॉर्ट पीरियड ऑफ टाइम में, that was way back in 2014, right? So it took good 10 years to find something like that, and that has something to do with luck as well. So luck का रोल बहुत बड़ा है. हम लोगों का प्रोसेस जो है वो कंसिस्टेंट होना चाहिए, और मुझे लगता है इंडिपेंडेंट थिंकिंग बहुत जरूरी है, एंड देन द क्वालिटी ऑफ नेटवर्क टू वेंट आउट द आइडिया। कि यार कई बार ऐसा होता है ना कि आप लोग नेटवर्क के साथ में आइडिया शेयर करते हो, बट यू स्टिल गेट काइंड ऑफ अ कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरी रिप्लाईज। सो वहां पे आपका जो ओरिजिनल थिंकिंग का कैपेबिलिटी है वो ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाता है, क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि किसी वेल नोन इन्वेस्टर ने आपको बोला कि ये बहुत अच्छा है, बट आपको लगता है कि नहीं यार यहाँ पे कुछ तो मिसिंग है। तो ऐसी सारी चीजों को इंडिपेंडेंटली जज किस तरह से करना चाहिए, तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है 2024 का सबसे बड़ा लर्निंग मेरे लिए यही है कि क्वालिटी ऑफ नेटवर्क बहुत जरूरी है। एंड आई हैव लर्न ग्रेट डील दिस ईयर। आई थिंक द बिगेस्ट टेक अवे फॉर मी दिस ईयर हैज बीन दीज टू जेंटलमैन हियर, Sandeep bhai and Amit bhai, and the kind of insights I learned from them is absolutely unmatched. ये मैं वैसे बोलने के लिए तो मार्केट में एक्टिव 2005-2006 से हूँ, but the kind of learnings I've had in last year is just uncomparable because of the quality of network. I think this is
I
it.
mean, you are very excessive kind, and I'll not embarrass each other. I mean, otherwise people will call it like mutual admiration club. I mean, people.
No,
I
no,
mean, ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा,
it's just what
but
it
I mean,
is.
it's an honor and pleasure to be connected with you and to even hear. And in general, my mood in last 1 week was very bad. So I'll take it as it is. In a normal day, I would have pushed back. So thanks for that. I'll quickly switch the topic on something very important you said, so that we don't end up discussing about each other. Uh, Prince and others, we have a small, let's say, club of set of people, and for argument's sake, let's assume that they all are very seasoned investors and they have very distinct style. It so happens that this set of 7 8 people collectively have big positions in pretty much all big SME companies. But in each such companies, there are 4 people who are very long and 3 which are very critical, to the extent of calling it, literally overvalued, a bad story and everything. And this is the beauty of people having those kind of experience, that they, and this is literally like 8C4 kind of a combination possible. So I'll take few, not obviously individuals name, but the company. So example, Oriana, 3 people are very big positions and 2 are like, no, I don't get it. Trident, some people have positions, some people don't have. C2C, some people have, some people don't have it. So that's what Amaya was saying. Having network is one thing, but ability to still have an independent view, because सुनो सबकी करना अपने मन की ही है अंत में. Or unless people have spent their own efforts, they will never have conviction. So their money will only be made in on a borrowed idea till it is running. The day it will come down, you will start panicking. अमिया प्लीज मेरा फोन उठा लो, मुझे समझा दो कि मैं न्यूजन में क्या करूं, अमित जी मुझे ट्राइडेंट के बारे में समझा दो. And no way you can handle the drawdowns. You will not have the capability. Drawdowns of a big position, if you have a token position, 1% 2% here there, doesn't matter, right? For large positions, no matter what is your quality of network is important, because they have the confidence and the character to tell you the negative things without being personal. And you should also have the character and the confidence to listen to those negative without being defensive or abrasive about those feedbacks, right? But that ends there. After that, unless people have spent their own efforts, one, they cannot do the sizing, and even if they do the sizing, they will be not able to handle the drawdowns.
Perfect. Any mistakes as in related to market decisions and all?
I made so much of mistakes in this bull market. I would have made 60% compounding last 3 years at a portfolio level, but that's also because I'm half large caps. So I mean, again, not trying to any way indirectly influence anybody. I'm going all in next 6 months, in 3 4 months. All micro caps will play, a stint of my life. Do it for 2 years and then we'll see.
Perfect. Amiji?
Sir, we always learn, matlab, every day we learn a lot of things and we do every mistake regularly. So if we do something, we will do the mistake also. So the one thing we should, गलती करना गुनाह नहीं है, बट गलती को दोहराना गुनाह है. जो सेम मिस्टेक को बार बार नहीं करना है, दैट्स वी शुड कीप इन माइंड. एंड गलती करना ही चाहिए, मतलब जब तक गलती नहीं करेंगे आप सीखेंगे नहीं. एंड लर्न काफी, और एक मतलब पिछले साल काफी काइंड रहा मेरे लिए, गॉड वाज काइंड, तो ठीक है, रिटर्न अच्छे बने, तो होप आगे भी ऐसा ही रहे। दैट्स इट, मतलब रिटर्न तो अच्छे बने, नो डाउट, बट कुछ 2-3 विनर अच्छे हो जाते हैं तो रिटर्न अच्छे बन जाते हैं, बाकी तो क्या ही है।
Totally agree on that, sir.
और
I mean, one,
2 words फॉर अमय।
yeah,
अमय ने मतलब मेरे को बहुत सिखाया टेक्नोलॉजी फ्रंट पे। टेक मैं समझता नहीं था, मतलब अमय ने बहुत एजुकेट किया, एंड यू नो एक्सप्लेन वेल कि हाउ थिंग्स वर्क, व्हाट थिंग वर्क्स, यू नो, तो ऑलवेज ग्रेटफुल टू अमय, मतलब, और अमय बहुत हम्बल है यार।
totally agree to that, sir. Or we met in November 2023, Sandeep Bhai, and Oriana was the point of discussion at that point in time, somewhere around 300 bucks, and everybody in the discussion, apart from me, added that, and that is a big omission. Anyways,
Infact,
so one question, I mean,
very big example, Prince, where you mentioned it. They are a very great promoter, I tell you. And then from zero, they created business from zero. The very young chap, around, actually they are 35, around maybe 30, 35, 40. They created huge business from zero, sir. And सब साथ में नौकरी करते थे. It's a very good example of Indian, you know, entrepreneurship, I must say. I think Sandeep bhai will be agree with
so
me.
ek,
Though I have not invested there,
No, no,
but
agree. In fact, I mean that's what I was saying, Prince Bhai. I mean, Amit ji is not. I mean, I'm openly calling it out because it's for a good lesson which he wants to share, and I'm kind of confirming. He doesn't have a position on Oriana, but and he would have. I mean, I also have said it in so many times. Like I evaluated this company based on my limited set of data, skipped it at 300, 600. By the time I understood it was already 1800. But the good company doesn't end here because I was so cynical about entire solar EPC, and I could still find out, I mean, based on my set of parameters, and doesn't mean this is the only stock, because I could see the corporate style of functioning of that company, the quality of promoter, etc. And that's when I realized why a section of market was so bullish on it. So if you meet them, if you kind of watch them closely, then suddenly you realize that it's one of those exceptional companies, and there are at least 20 similar companies in out of 800 SME companies. So all those are great winners. No matter what people say and be cynical and what will happen in future, I mean, great companies can always fail in future. But point in time, the reality is these are the kind of what I say crown in the jewel in the SME segment. I mean, there are many others also, but Oriana is surely one of those.
perfect. So अमिया भाई वो कौन सी कंपनी है जो जब तक पोर्टफोलियो में नहीं आती है, जब तक समझ में नहीं आती है?
I don't know, yaar, what you're talking about, to be very
नहीं नहीं
honest.
छोड़ दो मैं अभी वो let's I mean we had a good one, let's not go that route.
No, no, no. Okay, Sandeep, एक क्वेश्चन उस पे अगर
Prince, and
I
we can
mean,
wrap it also. I mean, there's no point of extending. It's already late
हाँ,
also, but yes, please, over to you.
चलो फिर concluding remarks from you three and we close this spaces for the year and definitely look forward to 25. अमित जी आपसे शुरू करते हैं, अमिया एंड संदीप इन दैट ऑर्डर में भी.
थैंक्स प्रिंस। सबके न्यू ईयर की बहुत बहुत आपको शुभकामनाएं, हैप्पी न्यू ईयर। विश दिस ईयर आपका बहुत अच्छा रिटर्न आए, एंड आप हैप्पी रहें, हेल्दी रहें, और मतलब मस्त रहें, स्वस्थ रहें, मतलब क्या बोलते हैं ना, बैंक में पैसा रखने के लिए बैंक खरीदें आप। ऑन लाइटर नोट सर, बट द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट इज हैप्पी एंड हेल्दी एंड वेल्दी। विश यू हैप्पी हेल्दी वेल्दी ईयर।
Certainly, sir. Certainly will definitely be in your company, learn these nuances. Yeah, Mia bhai.
Yeah, just wanted to say the same thing. Wishing everyone a very happy new year or a very healthy year ahead. बाकी सब तो market का returns and all that सब चलता रहेगा. So important is to have good health and a good community, good network, good people to associate with. जो positivity बनाए रखे आपके around. So wishing everyone a very very happy new year ahead. Thanks, Prince. Thanks a lot for what you are doing,
Thanks,
Prince. I think 2024 वो perspective से I think आपके लिए भी काफी अच्छा रहा है, and I hope you cross many more benchmarks in coming year.
Thanks, Bhai. And I mean, publicly saying this is the best thing which has happened to me after my kids, and definitely I've been blessed to have a great network. Sandeep Bhai,
आई मीन जब बड़ाई कर रहा हूँ तो मैं कर रहे हैं तो मैं भी कर देता हूँ तो प्रिंस हैज सिंगल हैंडेडली एक्सपैंडेड माय नेटवर्क बिकॉज आई मीन आई एम in general polite to people, but I never do cold reach outs, as in I don't reach out to people. And that's why when people like Prince were able to push me, he literally pushed me to go to face, and my first reaction was, and I said it on face to face also, that I didn't want to go. And that's when he told, like, at least talk to that gentleman, he's a very learned person and all that sort of things. With so many other people also, Prince, I mean, this IS summit, I mean, that is again Prince pushing me. I mean, even though I probably didn't do the good job. So Prince, always thanks. And I really enjoyed your spaces. I did a lot of other spaces also. So that was surely good thing. And allow me to just take maximum maybe 90 seconds more. Just a general reach out to the community. See, social media is a very toxic place. Places like Telegram, Facebook, religion, everything. This community is very special. I mean, when I say community, I'm not only talking about SME community, the FinTweets. In spite of a lot of trolling and negative comments, etc., I still find it is a reasonably positive space. Anytime I introduce my set of wider friends, I encourage them. A lot of youngster, I encourage them to come on the Twitters, follow certain handles, but it will do a great service if we can be little more humbler. Stop calling a stock just because it is down 30%, their promoters name calling, just because someone was very positive and stock crashed 30%, he was a scamster or he was pumping. I mean, those adjectives are very easy to hurl at each other. I mean, it is already very good place, and but that shouldn't stop me from requesting, demanding little more, right? And I'm not even trying to talk about the last week's incidents, which was, I take a lot of pride in people reading, but in spite of that, I was totally called out on that. I mean, I was bluffed in believing that he was a youngster who probably in rush of things he said. I actually went into a call with him, politely explained it to him, and now I'm feeling so sad and angry that it was literally like a phishing attack on me. So I'm not even talking about those kind of cases, but I'm talking about more in general, that little bit of more politeness. In fact, that's where, Prince, I tweeted yesterday that my general golden rule is that never be a person whom other person don't want to get their kids meet, and always try to meet to the people whom you would like to introduce your kids with, right? If these two-way matrix we can follow, our community, our networks will be much kinder and much more value add on. So on that note, best wishes, looking forward to 2025, and see you again on the other side of 31st.
100%. Thank you so much, Sandeep Bhai. And definitely, I can agree. This is a very democratic and positive platform wherein majority of the participants are positive. Of course, everywhere we find some negatives, and definitely that is the area we should be avoiding. And it's always a great audience, great speakers, and we try to match. Their perspectives, and definitely in every session we get something more on that. And Sandeep, I leave aside the direct network. This platform has been so generous that you get to know so many learned and people from diverse field, which you, I mean, in normal course, I believe it's hard to connect with such kind of people. So definitely I can totally agree on that, that you get a very good set of people over here. And the very right advice which has been given by all three speakers is you have to keep your eyes and ears open, because you always have two sides to it, and your due diligence is something which is you should not avoid at any cost. With that note, I also wish each and every one of